So just finished another little healing session out at Avatar, and I'm just heading into town. So thought I'd make a little video based on what came up out of that healing session today. And when I say healing session, what I'm referring to is, for many people it's an introduction, for some people it's like an ongoing furthering awareness, if you like, and for other people it's just a confirmation of where they're at. But a healing session that I offer is learning the basics, I suppose, of looking at your thinking and learning that you are not the victim of your own thinking, that you can control the nature of your thoughts. Now, if you look at what goes on in your mind, let's just say you sit down for a minute quietly, all to yourself, and sit down for a couple of minutes, have a look at your thoughts and just see the kind of thoughts that goes on in your head. Now, rather than being in a reactive state where some thought will go past in your consciousness and then another one about some situation that may concern you, etc., rather than buying into those thoughts, and it's like, oh, there's that thought about someone, and automatically, like, you kind of grab hold of it emotionally and you feel the angst of that situation as if it was happening right now, when in fact it's in the past or maybe anticipated in the future. Try to sit by impartially and just watch those thoughts go past in your mind as if you're like an observer. You're just watching a little parade go past with an oddly assorted like procession of thoughts, some of them good, some of them bad, but remembering that you're the one who's decided that they're good or bad. In reality, they don't mean anything. What does this thought about my hand mean? My hand's 50 odd years old and it's pretty useful, blah blah blah, and it means all sorts of things based on the use that I've ascribed to what my hand's for and everything, but really it doesn't mean anything. You know, if I was a hand model, I might have a certain value attached to it as being able to bring me an income or earn an income as a tattoo artist or all of that sort of stuff. But it doesn't mean anything really. I'm the one that gives my thoughts about my hand and about everything else the meaning that it has for me. And I can just as easily train my mind to let go of giving things meaning as I have allowed myself to be trained that the meaning that I give things is credible. Right? But I have to first consider credible compared to what? The incredible? The fact that I don't know why I'm here on the earth. I don't know what my true purpose is. There's no instruction book. Nobody came to me when I was a toddler and said, right, Dave, this is how it is. It's like every single person on the planet has made this subconscious agreement to participate in this thing called society or culture or a way of government and all that sort of stuff. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with all of that, but I'm just saying look at it, examine it. What is it for? Is it helpful in bringing about the advent of what is in my best interests? Now, if I don't know what's in my best interests, I cannot possibly be able to make a decision about it. You know, I'm just a pawn in a game, or sheeple, as people say lately. It seems to be a thing. I'm a sheeple. And everybody's a sheeple. You're born into the world as a sheeple. And I'm not advocating anarchy or anything like that, so get that out of your head. I'm not interested in this anonymous movement or any of that stuff. We're talking about the enlightenment of the mind, the liberation of your consciousness, wherein you can break the chains of habitual thinking that keep you bound and tethered to the physical realm. You're on a journey of the soul, and as you learn to live your life in peace and freedom and love and harmony and all that sort of stuff here, so do you, as you cut those chains on earth, so do you liberate yourself from the necessity to repeat another sojourn here or going around the sun again to learn those lessons. Because the world is a classroom. And the thing that we're learning, very simply, is that, keep my finger on my nose, I am the meaning of life. Now, what does that even mean? Right? That's the quest. That's the great journey. That's where the unraveling, unlearning, and unconditioning of your ego-conscious thinking can begin to reveal to you in ongoing moments of, let's say, Holy Communion or light-minded contact, a greater purpose or a greater revealing of the nature of your best interests on earth. It's like you get a little glimpse of the script of the actual true reason that you're here every time you decide, I'm not going to use my own thinking because I have no clue what my best interests are in this situation. I can tell myself that my best interests are to protect my hands or make more money or all this sort of stuff. But how do I know? What am I basing that on, right? So the only alternative I have to that is to step back out of the situation, withdraw my anxious tenacity, let's say, to put my 2 cents worth in and have my say and get my bit, and allow what happens to happen without me needing to justify myself in that situation at all. And that'll free me up from the karma that situation actually has the potential to impose upon me. And you got to remember that karma is the nature of cause and effect thinking. I think this, that happens. I think that, this happens. And the one thought, of course, that we have, that all our karma comes from, is that I'm separate from Source. I'm separate from Universal Mind, from God, from Allah, whatever. I'm separate. Where in fact, the truth of the matter is I am one. I'm one with everything and all things. I am an equal and whole part of that, and I'm entitled to my inheritance, let's say, which is inner peace, love, and perfect fulfillment, as a whole and equal part of that. The world cannot tell me what I am, who I am, because very simply the world doesn't know. And through my own forgiveness of my false thinking, my false ideas about myself, and through my relinquishment of my past conditioning on how I think, I can break free of the little circular activity of the 5% of my brain and go beyond the conscious level of mind, which will give me a better insight and a higher point of view, a higher perspective upon which to learn to begin to make responses and decisions based on the revelation that I gained there about myself. And I hope that makes sense, but you got to start somewhere. So today the main thing that I was trying to get across was to set the goal. Set the goal of your life, not just for today or tomorrow. Set the goal of your life for inner peace, and you will begin to become aware of how much thinking, and it'll seem like a daunting task at first, but just how much thinking is corruptive to that. And it's like, holy cow, I just want to be peaceful. I don't want to be judgmental of this or that, or decide that this is good and that's bad, because in my dualistic perspective of things, I cannot have a bad without a good, or a negative without a positive. I don't want a negative or a positive. I don't want good or bad in my life. I just want what is. I just want the truth to be able to be my point of focus in this moment and every moment, which is that we are one and that we share a single source, which is love. That's all I want. What comes from that can therefore only be love, unless, of course, I'm not honest about my assertion that that's all I want, and then, of course, I'm going to get the results of that, which gives me pause for reflection and prayer for the healing of my mind that's still has these little secret desires for some worldly pleasure or worldly gain. And I don't know if you can hear that, but in the admonition of our Saviour, let's say our classic Saviour of Jesus Christ 2,000 odd years ago, he says, give up the world and follow me. He means it, literally, give up the world and follow me. Give up the ways of the world and adopt a more spiritual and heavenly outlook. Because as you think, so it shall be for you. You don't need to go to church. You don't need to be some kind of religious zealot. In fact, just the opposite. All religiosity of the mind will corrupt the ongoing flow, if you like, of the nature of the true spiritual activity of your mind, which is letting go, letting go, letting go, letting go. All right, well, I love you. This is probably over the 7 minutes, so I'm going to have to load this one up through YouTube. But have a think about that. Maybe watch this video again. Tag your friends in this video. Tag people. You never know, somebody who's contemplating suicide or going through a really bad time might be really appreciative. If they understand even just a teeny bit of it, it's better than not having any understanding at all. All right, take it easy, huh?